The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions and viewpoints of the staff and management of this station.
Welcome to the wonderful world of seniors, the best of all worlds. You now have the time, resources, and ability to enjoy what you have worked for all your life. So let's explore the many possibilities available to seniors on Senior World Radio. Senior World Radio is your source for senior citizens-related topics, information, and entertainment. Now, here is your host of Senior World Radio, Glenn Howard.
Thanks for joining me. I'm Glenn Howard. I met an incredible lady named Georgia Anderson who just celebrated her 100th birthday. You're going to enjoy meeting this lady.
First of all, let me congratulate you on your 100th birthday.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be 100?
You know, Bob Barker said this morning on television, he said, it's taken me a long time to reach 90. It's taken me a short time to reach 100.
So 100 is just one more year beyond 99, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well...
That if those birthdays didn't keep nibbling at me, I would be all right. I have no diseases. None at all. My health has been good.
That's great. What do you attribute your long life to? What kept you going?
Hard work.
Hard work.
I've always been busy, a little bit on the hyper side.
Uh-huh.
My little boy was hyper.
Okay.
When he was born, we had all, I married the best man in all the world. And we had he was the only child. And I know he had such high expectations when he heard I was pregnant. He was so happy. And when our little boy was born, I didn't know he was retarded. He was a good baby.
Now, your baby's name was Michael?
Michael Everett Fitz.
Michael Everett.
Fitz, F-I-T-T-S.
Okay.
Fitz.
So Michael Everett, when he was born, would they call it a Down syndrome baby?
Yes, there's this retardation. It has different steps.
Uh-huh.
So he was considered Down syndrome. And the doctor told us that your baby would go to be have an intelligence of probably 11 years old. And so we weren't too unhappy. But he was a little stinker. He was hyper. he almost drive you. A hyper child has to be busy, or they'll drive you crazy.
Right. But he did live a very long and enjoyable life, did he not?
No, he was happy until we sent him to. Yeah, this is on television, on radio. Ada.
To Ada, okay.
He was in his 30s.
Right.
And we sent him there. And they quit working with him. As long as someone was working with him, he was happy. They were teaching him to count money, how to read the not the newspaper, the grocery ads.
Uh-huh.
And he was when we take him home, to begin with, we joined the Oklahoma County Council for Retarded Children, and we thought our goal was to build a home for our kids. When we went that night, there was at least 300 or 400 of us in Oklahoma County.
Oh, really? That was a good-sized number then. I didn't realize it was that large.
I didn't either. In fact, I didn't. That's the first time I'd ever heard the word retardation.
Uh-huh.
I have not been schooled in it. I knew nothing about it. And as I said, our goal was to build a school, a home for our kids. The president of our club was a lady that worked for Streets Clothing, and she bought the clothes for Streets. That was her job. She had a little boy in Enid State School, and she said, I want you all to put, when Mike was 9 years, well, earlier than that, she wanted us to put him in Enid with her little boy, that he liked it, and he had someone to play with his age and his mental ability. So the hardest thing we ever done in our life was to give up our little boy. to Enid State School.
I
But
can
he-
imagine.
Yes, sir. And they told us, well, you can't see your little boy now until he's for 6 weeks. We want him to adjust. When we went back in 6 weeks, we couldn't wait to get there. It was on a Saturday. And Mike, he greeted us, but he was the happiest little boy I ever saw. And he'd rather stay there than go home with us. He was that happy. And he showed us where his clothes were, where he slept. And he had to learn by leaps and bounds how to tie his shoe, how to button his clothes, his shirts, and how to use his silverware.
So why did you take him out of Enid?
Oh, well, they said Enid, he had been there about 5 or 6 years maybe.
Uh-huh.
Oh, longer than that. And they told us they wanted to move Mike to a higher place. They didn't need to be there anymore because they were going to turn the school into more of a nursing home for the very severe retarded.
Okay.
So I didn't want to. We were round and round and round for about 3 or 4 years, and finally I felt like I had to move him. My husband was dead. Had he lived, we wouldn't have moved him because he was a lawyer. He could talk you out of anything, and he did. Yes, sir, did he?
Sounds like he talked you into marrying him. He must have been a pretty good talker.
Well, no, he was just out of the Navy when I met him.
Ah, so you married one of those Navy boys.
I didn't know him until the war was over with. I wrote to him, and we wrote back and forth for
Uh-huh.
a year and a half probably, and I finally got to meet him after he came home.
So then you got married. You had Michael. Michael was in the school at Enid for how many years was he in Enid? Do you
He
know?
was in his 30s when I had to move him, and he was 9 years old when I took him up there.
So he was there almost 20 years. Then.
Yes, sir. Loved every day of it. He didn't care whether he came home or not. We'd go get him for a week at a time. One time we got him for the whole month, and his grandmother wanted to keep him, but she wasn't able.
So when they decided they were going to close the school, or at least not close it, but change its purpose to people with greater restrictions, you had to bring Michael back home to... You were living in Oklahoma City at that time?
Yes, sir.
So you had to bring him back home, and then the question became, now what?
They wanted us to move. They said, they told me that they were moving two of Mike's little friends, the 3 of them, that they were moving them to Ada.
Uh-huh.
And they wanted me to give them the okay to move Mike to Ada.
Okay.
And he wasn't taking, they just quit taking care of him,
I see.
other than feeding but his little mind, they didn't work his mind anymore. So Mikey went down.
So you decided it would be better to bring him back and keep him at home?
No, I know. I was getting old, and I was 33 when Mike was born. So I was getting up in age, and
Okay.
I wasn't able to take care of it.
So then how did you get him back to Oklahoma City, and how did you start working with others in the school here?
Oh, when we joined the club, we bought 60 acres of land over on Northwest 23rd and Utah, and we were going to build it was a pasture full of cattle. They moved the cattle off, and there was this big red barn in the middle of the pasture, and it was a nice red. It looked like it was brand new almost. So we decided we would use that for the beginning of the school. On Saturday, when the men that could work on Saturday, they came up on Saturdays until they cleaned out all the cow patties, and they found that they needed a floor, a new floor. Well, we had all kind of talent in the club. There was lawyers and electricians and people that could do different kind of work. So we had to raise money to buy the flooring. There was a man who sold flooring, and he sold it to us as cheap as he could sell it to us. So we had a ball raising money for this and that. There's a fellow in the club that owned a glass company. We had 8 big windows to fill, to put glass in.
Tell me a little bit about the club. How did the club actually get started?
Oh, well, I don't know. We were on the beginning.
Okay.
I don't know how long they've been in operation when we joined it.
So now this was just a club of parents who had children that had, were they all Down syndrome, or was it all kind of physical?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know when the doctor told me my little boy was retarded, he says, when Mike was 2 years old, he says, now I want you to have another baby. And I said, well, I don't want one like Mike. And he said, well, I can't promise you what you'll have. Motherhood's a gamble. And all of a sudden I thought we had a family, real nice friends, good educated people. They tried 3 different times to have a normal baby, and they had 2 little boys and a girl. They were both Down syndrome. The cutest kids, just playing together. They were just as cute as they could be. My little boy was playing with the little kids in the neighborhood when we sent him to Ada. But he was driving me crazy. He was hyper. He was into one thing and out of another. I never took my eyes off of him. All the time he was at home. At 9 years old, I had a nervous breakdown because he was hyper. He was just into everything. The nicest thing I remember about Mike, he would whimper in the night. He wasn't a big crybaby. He didn't cry for his bottle, so he would whimper in the night. I'd get up in the middle of the night. I'd go get him, put him on my shoulder, walk into the front room, and put him on my shoulder, pat him and sing to him and rock him. That's my best time with my little boy.
Georgia, we got to take a break, but we'll be coming right back, so please stay right here with me.
You're nobody till somebody loves.
Have you ever had a problem, but it seemed like there was no one who could help? You spent hours calling around, being referred from one place to the next. Well, not anymore. I want to tell you about a free and easy-to-use service in Oklahoma. 211 is a simple 3-digit phone number to get help or to give help when you don't know where to turn. Dialing 211 only takes a minute, and you are connected with a caring Oklahoman who will help you find the assistance you've been looking for. With access to over 13,000 programs, Heartline 211 can connect you to local resources for many different needs, including health care, food, counseling, rent assistance, disability assistance, job services, and much more. 211 is a service of Heartline, a United Way partner agency. 211, the right first call to get help or give help 24 hours a day.
Hi, my name's Jason Ledlow, president of UT Phone, the ultimate telephone service. We're proud to be a sponsor of Senior World Radio with Glenn Howard. UT Phone is dedicated to providing Oklahomans affordable telephone service all across our great state. We have Lifeline home phone service starting at just $1.95. That's right, just $1.95, and most of Oklahoma's seniors qualify for this reduced home phone service. They get to keep their old home phone number, and it even includes long distance. Another great feature of UT Phone's customers really like is that it includes repair service. That's right, any repairs at no additional charge. With many telephone services charging $40 to $50 per month, it makes sense to switch your service to UT Phone. This service is a federal program that is provided through the Universal Service Fund. There is only one per household, so make it UT Phone's home phone service for $1.95. Give us a call at 800-996-0098. Again, call 800-996-0098.
I've made up my mind.
Welcome back to Senior World Radio. I'm Glenn Howard talking to Georgia Anderson, 100-year-old lady, an incredible woman.
Let's talk a little bit more about the club. When you joined the club, was it pretty good size? Were there a lot of parents at that time?
Yeah, Clyde says, George, we're going to get a club. We can join with the other people that have these children. And I said, well, Clyde, there won't be anybody there. I didn't know about that part of life. And so I think there's about 200 there.
Okay.
I walked in, I saw all those people. I thought, do they have a child like mine? Are they all crazy?
So with about 200 parents, you bought this property, had the barn on it, and started, were the students, the children living there, or were they living at home and just going to school and training?
I don't know. Different places. As I say, somewhere in Enid State School, somewhere in Pauls Valley.
Okay.
That I heard from other people. But raising money was a lot of fun. I stayed. I think Clyde was behind this one. My husband. He said, "We'll have on a busy Saturday. We'll have people stationed downtown with a jar and a plaque around their neck, stating their business. While we were standing there all dressed up, and I was standing on the corner of Grand and Broadway. And right across the street was at Daisy Bay, where the service being met on Saturday and to drink and have fun, just to meet and have fun. And they drank beer. And so they saw me standing over there on the corner, and they came over to investigate, and they ducked their quarters in. They said, my beer tastes better. And so I had 119 or 129, I remember the 9, in my jar when I stood there until Clyde says, now you dress up. You put on your high heels. Can you imagine it on a hot afternoon, all dressed up out there and standing in that hot sun for 4 hours?
Raising money for the school. Tell me, how did Dale and Roy Rogers get involved in this?
They weren't involved in that I know of. They had a little girl, Robin. She lived to be 3 years old. I read her book, Angel Unaware.
Right. Very popular book.
Precious little book, yes. I would recommend it to anybody. It was really nice. So that's when I accepted more or less when I accepted my little boy wholeheartedly. They had their little girl. So we named the school the Dale Rogers School. It's a big school out there.
Yes, it is.
I haven't been there in a long time. They wanted Mike there for a while, but he was so happy at Enid we didn't take him out. And
so when they moved in, I guess that helped in the fundraising to expand the school and to get more facilities and to make life a little easier?
Well, we fixed up the barn. It was really nice with the hardwood floor and windows, and someone donated a clock, and people, we didn't have to pay for wiring the building because we had people that, put in their time.
That's amazing. Georgia, let me ask a little bit about you, though. Are you a native Oklahoman?
Yes, sir. I was born in Calera.
In where?
Calera, Calera.
And where is that? What's that close to?
It's between Denison, Texas, and Durant.
Okay.
5 miles south of Durant, and about 10 miles from Denison.
Now, in addition to being a housewife and a mother, what professions did you ever work at?
Oh, well, when I finished high school, I was lost. I didn't have any. We lived in a little town. We moved there when I was in the 5th grade, and I had a man teacher over me. And I thought to my little sister, that was 1 grade behind me, I said, we won't learn anything from that boy. But he was a precious teacher. He was born to be a teacher. He made school interesting. That was my And I know I had hygiene that year, and I really, really liked it, and I learned a lot. I tell people today, everything I know today, I learned in the 5th grade.
Okay.
He was just really a nice young man. There was only 8 in our class, and you know what? We went all through school together and graduated. The 8 of us. There was 5 girls and 5 girls and 3 boys, and the boys were really nice. And when school was out, I went around. I hadn't thought about the future until the night I walked across the stage and got my diploma, and I went home. And the next morning, for about 3 weeks, I just hung around. I cried, and I was lost. I just didn't know what to do. And I thought, well, what? I'm not living at home. I'm through school. So one Sunday afternoon, a little girl from across town, on the other side of the little town, I knew her. She was a year old. She finished a year before I did. And we talked in the porch down there one Sunday afternoon for about an hour and a half. And we just laughed and talked, and Daddy noticed it. And he said, well, George, what made you laugh, change your mood so soon? He was digging. And I didn't want to tell him because we didn't have any money. I knew I couldn't go to college. She was telling me about the Murray School over here in Tishomingo. It's a nice little junior college. Very nice. And I said, well, Daddy, I told him what she told me about the little school. If we could get a job, we could stay there in the dormitory and go to school and live there. Oh, I was thrilled to. That's the happiest day of my life. So, Daddy didn't say anything to me. That was the end of it. I thought that was the end of it. About 3 or 4 days later, my principal came to me and he says, I think you and Marie want to go to college over here at Murray. I said, well, we can't go. We don't have any money. And he said, well, I know the president, Clyde Murray. He's a brother of Bill Murray. And he
Who was the governor at that time,
yes,
wasn't
sir.
he?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he says, we're all buddies. We've gone to school together. He says he's almost like a brother to me. He says, if I call him and tell him you want to go to school over there, is that all right? I said, oh, you bet. And so 2 or 3 weeks, or sometime after that, he came back and he says, I have you a job. You can work in the kitchen, waiting the tables, and you can pick out your room. You can live there and go to school. The administration building was right across from the kitchen. And
So after you went through school and got your diploma or degree,
I thought I had a goal in mind. I thought, boy, I'll learn to type, because our little school didn't have typing. This is 100 years ago. They didn't have typing in our school. So that was my goal. And I thought if I could learn to type, I could work anywhere for the President of the United States if I wanted to. I was happy. So I didn't have anything to wear. No clothing, no money, no nothing. But I said, yes, sir, I'm going. So nobody else was. So I bonded with a little girl that was from Idabel. And if I didn't have a clean dress to wear to school, she did. We bonded. She and I, between the two of us, we made it. And I learned to type and take dictation real well. But when the 2 years was over with and I graduated from the school, I didn't have anything. I couldn't get a job. There was no jobs in Durant or where we lived for a typist or anything. So that summer when school was out, one of the teachers almost came to me and she said, Georgia, you don't have enough hours to teach, and that's the only thing a lady can do when they finish high school, is teach school. And she said, you can go to school at Southeastern. Well, we live 9 miles east of Durant, where Southeastern is in Durant. And I said, well, I don't have any way of getting to Durant. And she said, well, that's why I came to see you. She says, I have a family that's wanting a girl to work for them. Key Pest, they had 2 little a little boy, a little young boy and girl. And your job is to take care of them because they like to socialize at night. So I thought, well, yeah, well, I'll take it. So I went to, my sister and I got on the bus the next morning, went to see her, see the family, see her. And she said, you can start to work in the morning if you want to. I was 14 blocks from the school, from Southeastern. But she said, you can walk it. Well, I've been walking. When I first started school, I walked 3 miles, little bitty fat dumpling. And I thought, well, if I can walk 3 miles at 6 years old, I can walk 14 blocks when I'm 18.
So that's where you got your degree and you started teaching. You became the school teacher, huh?
I was in my last year. I was fixing to graduate to get my diploma from Southeastern. And I came home one Friday afternoon, and one of my friends, the girl that I bonded with, came. She was sitting on the front porch, and I said, Sarah, what are you doing here? She said, I've got you a school for Monday morning. And said, we're going to pack you up and take you down there. She said, I've already told the school board about you because I was going to take a little girl's place. She got married, and that time you didn't get married and teach school. The school board wouldn't hire a married woman.
Had to be single to be a teacher.
It was a little 2-teacher school, and down near Idabel called the Little Pollard School. So she spent all the time. I said, I'm going to graduate here in about another 3 months, and I'll get me a job then. She says, no. She says, that's not the way it works. She said, there's 100 teachers for every job, way back then. She was packing, and I was saying, no, but she was packing me. She took me to our house in Blue. We were in Durant at that time.
Georgia, you are one incredible woman. I want to tell you, you're the first 100-year-old lady I've ever had the privilege of interviewing.
Well, I haven't climbed the Eiffel Tower yet.
Georgia, thanks so much for being with me today. I wish we had 45 minutes more to go, but you are one incredible lady. We got to go. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back this same time next week. Until then, be kind to everybody you meet. Do something good for somebody, especially yourself. Bye-bye now.
I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top of the world.